Sorry, guys. Still letting everybody in. Everybody's kind of chiming in here.
Hey, Sean.
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
Good.
17. Nancy's coming in. Hey, Nancy. Nicolette. Miles is coming in. Are you logged in, Chrissy? Okay. So what are you guys seeing in the market out there right now while everybody's chiming in?
Well, as a title rep, I can tell you I'm seeing things that are more like a normal July before COVID, how real estate used to be. No more free rent backs for your sellers. Sellers are actually having to make necessary repairs, which I agree with 100%. And yeah, the removal of contingencies earlier is not happening so much. So for me, having been in real estate for about 20 years before coming to title, it's more like a normal July. That's what it feels like, in my opinion. What about you guys?
Cool. Well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go talk about it right now. Everybody's kind of chiming in, and I was waiting to get into a rhythm. So I think we've got enough people right now, about 30 people or so by a quick look. And I wish I could have given you co-host, right, so you can let them in. But here we go. Each week, we here at Executive Representation Team or organization share this report from Altos Research. If you're not using these reports each week, they are phenomenal for data sharing. And so Mike comes up, Mike, who is the CEO of Altos Research, comes out with these slides each week, and they monitor pricing, they monitor MLS, they monitor refinances, they're looking at what's happening with interest rates. And if you're out there, can you mute yourself, please? It'll save me a lot of time and effort in having to go through and mute everybody. Thank you. So here's what we saw this past week. We have the most inventory we've seen on the market, or that the market has produced, in over 2 years. If you took that as a percentage, it's 31% more units than we saw last year at this time. And this is nationwide data. We're going to talk specific about, and please go and use these reports. If you go to my Facebook page, they're free reports. You can find them, find Altos Research and type in your own zip code or city that you'd like. But 31% more units year over year. We saw about 3.6% weekly increase versus last Wednesday. And the good news is 2 months ago, when we were really seeing a change in the market and people were, out there kind of scrambling, we were seeing about a 6 to 7%, increase in inventory week over week. So that slowed. But the thing to consider is many of the new construction that had been sitting out there, who were waiting for, for lumber or for whatever systematic parts that the house needed to get on the market, those are being released in major cities right now. So we are going to see a bit of a spike. And if you look at what's happened empirically with inventory, we see inventory most of the time rise during this time of year and kind of peak in October. And that's still the prediction. Currently, we have 622,000. Expected inventory is to peak by mid-September at 622,000, which is considerably more than what we saw 4 or 5 months ago. 4 or 5 months ago, we were seeing about 250,000 homes on the market nationwide. Anybody know what a normal number for a for a market might be? And it's a rhetorical question, but it's about 1.2 million homes nationwide. So a lot of people are going, wow, we're seeing this difference in the market. Make no mistake, based on days on market, we are still in a seller's market, and in some areas an extreme seller's market versus the data that NAR comes out and says, a house in a normal market can sit up to 120 days on market. In some areas, I think we may see that come the end of the year. But what we're seeing, what we should see is we see this empiric spike of inventory come mid-September or October. And then as the year ends, the predicted number is about 535,000, still more than half of what a normal market should yield. So what this is creating right now, though, is for those sellers who have been on the fence, they're all of a sudden saying, well, let's expedite this. Let's get the house on the market because we're fearful of where the economy is going, where interest rates are going, and they're kind of they're feeling this pressure to get it on the market. So we may be seeing a little bit of spike because of that. But really, what many of you are asking where our pipeline, or where we're looking towards the end of the year, and we're certainly looking at buyers. I mean, if we're considering that the average house is going to sit on the market for 60 to 90 days by the time we get to the end of the year, the buyers will fill the bread and butter of immediate revenue. And so, what does this mean for buyers? It means that they've got some more options right now. If we're going to lose almost 100,000 homes between now and the end of the year, that's going to tighten the supply. And also, everybody who I speak to is predicting rates will continue to go up. So for buyers, there is a bit of sense of urgency that there's some opportunity for them in the marketplace right now. So let's talk a little bit about the median list price. Median list price went down week over week by 1%. Median list price currently $451 in the nation. We're seeing a discount in the list price versus sales price. Lots of credits happening, lots of towards interest rates, or just in general for cosmetics, towards closing costs. And we're seeing a fairly large spread right now, which is an interesting number to dissect, between the median home price versus the price of new listings. Median home price being $451, price of new listings $400,000. So respectively, I mean, these are national numbers, so one has to go in and kind of dissect this in their own marketplace. But I'm going to let some more people in here. Okay. So as we move to talking about reductions, a normal number of reductions in a marketplace is about 30%. And that's what we're seeing right now. The prediction, however, is by the time we get to October and we see the highest spike of inventory before it starts to decrease before the end of the year, that on average, we're going to be at 40% plus homes that are on the market active will have a reduction completed, or we're seeing a lot of certainly a lot of back on markets, and a lot of people who are withdrawing drawing their homes to to make some needed repairs, or to reprice them after they've been on the home and take them off the market after they've been on the market for 30 plus days. And what's an interesting factor here is that about 20% of homes that go on the market are still selling immediately. So the conversation with the seller, as always, needs to be upfront, and it needs to be, hey, we need to be the best priced home with the best marketing, and we need to let as many people in here as possible when they want to see it in great locations and in great conditions. 1 out of 5 are selling immediately. For the others, what's interesting to understand, and again, you go back to your sellers and you say, hey, listen, if it doesn't sell immediately, what does that mean for us? Well, I'm just taking the Rockland market here, and we can see what these numbers look like. If we talked about a seller's market, I mean, you look last month, we were in, well, I think it was close to 82%. Or 82% of sellers market, and now we've dropped to 66. Why? Well, we've seen price per square foot reduce. We've seen average days on market increase. We've seen median days on market increase. We've seen 43% of homes in Rockland have a price decrease, only 2 increases, and 6% of those homes, have been relisted. So if you took, whatever, about 127 homes, that's a versus what we saw 6 months ago. We weren't seeing much at all relisted. So again, when we start talking about a shifting market, and again, from a mindset perspective, we want you to look at a shifting market means opportunity for you, an opportunity to go out there and rebuild your pipeline, relaunch your business, think about business differently. But when we talk about a shifting market, those factors that change a market from sellers to buyers or from buyers to sellers will be the following: rates, days on market, decrease or reductions, escrow fallouts. Again, we saw another about 4,500 homes fall out of escrow last week because of consumer confidence and inventory rise. So when we take those, we are certainly seeing those. We're certainly seeing those characteristics in this market. And as we sum that up, before we go into today's topic, if you will, anybody have anything to share that they're seeing in the market specifically? Got a lot of top producers on here, so I'm just interested to hear some conversations. If not, we'll go on.
Sean, I have something. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hey,
Okay.
Nicolette.
So hi. So I'm preparing a listing right now that has been a rental. So I'm sure you can imagine the condition. And my seller is looking at the sold price per square foot. And when I'm looking at what's the active price per square foot, to kind of give them an idea, because the sold price per square foot was last month, right? And what are they coming on now? And I know that's just one way to price a home, but I think it's really important when you're talking about cookie cutter, production homes. What are they on the market for now, price per square foot, as opposed to when, the solds were a month ago when they went pending, right? So now I'm really focused on looking at the active pricing over the sold pricing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, completely. And yeah, go ahead.
So, hey, everybody, I'm actually an agent down in the Bay Area.
Yeah, Amy.
Hey, and what I am focusing on when I'm listing properties now is what I've always done a little bit, but I think it's more important to follow up with Nicolette, is what just sold. You call the pendings that just sold yesterday or the day before, and you find out what their activity was and if they will share with you kind of what they got. Because to Nicolette's point, it doesn't make any difference what sold 3 weeks ago or what closed escrow a month ago. You can't use those as comps any longer.
Agree, completely agree.
And I just went into contract on one, a listing, and it went pretty quick, actually, a little quicker than I realized or thought would take place. But I looked at the past solds in the last week and I paid attention to the concessions when we looked at the price point, because it may not be reflected in the actual price point when we were refining the list price.
Love it. So one of the other things that you'll look at through use of whatever data you're looking at, whether it's a CMA pulled through MetroList, or whether it's this data or whatever it is, Realist data will come up with some comps for you. I think it's also important to quartile it out, because what you see, the spread between what you see between things under 500,000, 500 to a million to 1.5 and 1.5 plus now, which is crazy to think that we're having these conversations about a median home price in Lincoln or in Loomis right now is 1.25 million. That's just nuts, right? I mean, 2 years ago, it's 700,000, but we're having these conversations now. And if your property does fall within one of those quartiles, mainly right now between 500 to a million, man, you got to make sure that that house is stellar. It looks great. It's prepped for the market. It's staged, that the disclosures are done, that the reports are ready up front, because, we are really catering those homes right now to Bay Area buyers. And so just something to think about. There's a lot. We're going to do a pricing strategy class either next week or the week after to help dive into some of these topics. But anyway, lots of things happening in the marketplace right now.
Hey, Sean.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, the things that we've noticed, especially in the lower end, which is crazy to think about. It's the 500 range is now like a lower end market in our area. But the biggest thing really is, like you said, to prep it right. But I think pricing it where the market's headed and price. So basically pricing it lower, much lower. That's the only way we've been seeing getting multiple offers. Otherwise, things are sitting a little bit longer than they have in the past. We're still not to that point where we're at a traditional, 50-50 market or whatever you want to call it. Still, I think in the seller's favor if you price it correctly, because there's just not enough inventory still. But I think the biggest thing we've been watching is if you priced it where it should sell at or higher, which is a lot of the cases why we're having so many price reductions. That's what we've noticed in that price point. And then as we're getting closer to million, like you said, it's still very, very important where you price it and price it low to get that the buyer frenzy, I guess. And it's much more difficult than it was before. You can't just throw something on the market anymore.
Weren't you saying last week, or we were having a conversation in the office about look at some of the pricing that some of these agents have come up with lately, and you're like, they don't have an idea of where the market's going. And
no, right, yeah, they're pricing
Right.
like it's still going up like crazy. Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of, we've been seeing that a lot of other agents are trying to price of this trajectory as if the year is going to continue, and we need to flatline that. And so that's pretty much what we do, is like price it where it is, not where we think it's going.
Yeah. Have the professional and tough conversation supported by documentation that here's really where we need to be and how we need to prep it.
And then Sean, I think the interesting thing about that is though, like we had a listing appointment yesterday, and initially they wanted 600,000 for their house when we met with them in March, but because we continued to send them updates on what the market's doing, right? We kept sending them CMAs like every couple of weeks to every month within that range somewhere. They already knew, and they actually wanted to, like they were saying, I'm worried that we're pricing it too high, even though we think it's fair. So we came to a happy medium where we wanted to price it, but by keeping them updated, they're realizing like, hey, things aren't selling like they were, and it's also like you have the media saying things too, right? So it's kind of like you have to clarify and say, yeah, there's a ton of price reductions because people are pricing. If you look at this one, right, you priced it a little bit high, and then now they end up selling for less than they should have got because they priced it too high, and so that's, but we've been fortunate that when we've been keeping in touch with our listings or our pre-listings, that they've understood that we need to price it a little more aggressive than we were intending to.
Media is definitely in the game. And one of the other things I'll share, we had a conversation with a listing that we've had for a significant amount of time. And I just said, hey, listen, it's time for you to relinquish control and we need to relaunch this listing. And so we've got the cleaners going up there. We're doing a declutter and a detrash, and we're going to do new photos and we're going to relaunch it. A lot of times those sellers want to try and take control until it's not working. So what I'm sharing with you is if you do have one of those listings, have a timeout and say, hey, let's do something different. Let's reproduce it. I want to sell it versus having it expire and some other agent come behind me and do these things that I've suggested for a long period of time. So now is the time to have those fierce conversations, so to speak. Okay, for those of you who are part of the EXP platform and on the team, don't forget we've got Build coming up in Dallas, August 23rd to 25th. There are still tickets if you'd like to go. Tony Robbins is there. General admission tickets, I think, are $250. They are going to release more. I'm not going to go into this. If you want more information, you can go to brentgove.com, do the research, or get a hold of me. So here we go. I'm going to open this up. Can you all see this? It says organizational growth. Yeah. Okay. This is what we were chatting about last week, and I'm going to touch on it very briefly today on these topics because they do delve into the main topic of what we're going to talk about today, which is a third-party validation. For those of you who are getting back in the game, who are new agents, who have teams that you want to build, or if you're trying to build a larger organization, the goal of the third-party validation is to get people in production and get them validated so that you align with them as their business partner. So today, just to recap, we're going to talk two topics. Number one is the psychology of business building, and number two is this third-party validation idea. So here are the stages of building a business. Number one is startup. Number two is growth, and number three is advanced growth. And we talk about startup being easy, and last week we delved into this topic a little bit, but what we find is regardless of industry, whether it's building an organization, whether it's building a real estate team, whether it's building a franchise, only 5% of people make it past startup. And out of those 5%, number two, only 1% make it through this concept of this business building stage called advanced growth. And if we looked at this, as a schematic, this is what it would look like. Number one, we're in this startup, and then we hit this wall. And, if we make it past the wall, we get, which is these 5% of agents, we get through this growth phase. And then if we make it through growth, we hit another wall, and only 1% of the 5% make it past this advanced growth thought process. And so we're going to dive in just a little bit, talk about this. The reason why startup is so fun, and you see agents jumping around from brokerages to brokerages, or from one self-employed job to another, is because startup has this emotional connection with fun, and that they're changing their lives, and it's something new. And think about dating, right? Oh, I got a new, it's great. I have this lovely emotion that's backing me up. And so these are the phases of startup. One is excitement, something new. Two is frantic. Oh, you see hey, what do I need to do? What's next? How does this work? Number three is anxiety. And anxiety is part of growth. Anxiety is something that we should embrace. And number four is this wall where you go, wow, this isn't happening, or I'm questioning the decision. Was this the right move? Is this the right team? Is this the right career for me, or the right relationship? And so when you think about folks in real estate, and maybe for some of you who are out there who are newer agents, understand what level of startup you're in, okay? And understand that it really becomes this choice to succeed when you hit that brick wall. And this is a decision that says, man, I need to invest time and money and resources. I need to learn something that I don't know to pull me past or break through this wall. And this is where a lot of people self-select. And so it's important you understand that this is a normal cycle of startup for you to get to growth. But ultimately, you define and redefine your business and through the growth phase. And you think about an example of people who join KW or EXP or wherever for the opportunity to build an organization or a business. And they go, oh, it's not happening quick enough. And for those of you who are agents, same thing, man, it's not happening quick enough. It's not happening. I'm not closing enough deals. I don't have enough clients. This is more challenging than I thought it would be. And then what happens is this optimism rescinds. And then this is when that feeling hits, this is when, we have 95% dropout. And if we win through this and we make that decision to keep skilling up and to keep growing and to keep pushing, and that this is a normal cycle, this win builds this confidence and power and what we would call relaxed intensity. And we have this positive mindset, and we break through that brick. And once startup is complete, then what happens, and it's important to understand this, we have this gap in the road. And what happens is we've seen this growth, and our mind tells us, oh, we need to pay ourselves back. We go out and we buy that car, that house, or take the time off, or we take that vacation, or we hire an assistant. And the ultimate is payback is great. It's incredible and it's fun. And that's why we do it. But then what happens is ultimately we hit this next block, we hit this next frustration. And the question is rhetorically, why? Why frustration? Why do we hit this? Ultimately, because the same person that fought so damn hard to build that business and to start up and to get that franchise off the ground, if you will, the people in general stop doing the things that they were doing to get them to the payback point. They become cash drunk or lazy or complacent, or they're enjoying life. No problem with that, but just understand to get to advanced growth, that these are going to be emotions and thought processes that you're going to have to go through. What happens though, in most businesses is that if we're in this payback phase and we're not adding to our business, we're plateauing. And really what plateau is a form of decay because or business decline, because your business then becomes dependent upon what's happening in the market and how the waves in the market show up. So in short, agents become a different person than they were when they were growing the business, and understand that they've hit the brick wall. Here's what I will say about coaching agents and having teams and having a big organization. This is where most people stop. And for the average agent, when you survey them, it's about $10 million in volume. about 250K in income. This is where the pedal comes off. They stop riding the momentum, and they hit this brick wall. And so now what happens? Now the questions are bigger, the emotions are greater, the emotions are heavier. And what happens to agents or business people? And think about your CPA and financial planner and attorneys and whoever else in your financial world there is out there. But what happens is most of these people are stuck in this brick wall. And people in general can be stuck here for years or decades. And this is when you ask them the question, if they're being coached, what's next for you? Or what are you energized about? Or, hey, I've been here for 16 years. This is me at Keller Williams. I've been here for 14 years. What's next? I hit the brick wall. It's like, okay, this is it. This is it for me. This is all I'm going to do for the rest of my career. Oh, man. Okay. I'm just going to sit here and take it. And there becomes no energy, no emotion to this conversation. And they know what they know, they're doing what they're doing. And somehow this brick wall has just become enough. This is where you understand people are open to change, okay? And moving on, when we ask these questions, how willing are you to learn or to change or to grow or to gain a new skill set? What would it look like for you to become a 10 in each one of those 4 categories? And here's the answer. We got a lot of good answers at the Tahoe retreat, but the real answer here is it takes a decision. It takes you to say, yeah, I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to change and change my habits. I'm willing to grow a little bit as a personally, excuse me. And I'm willing to sit down and gain a new skill set, whatever that might be. So these are people now who are open in the second brick wall of growth. They're doing some research. They're trying to figure out what this looks like for them. And so as you move from this growth to advanced growth, 2 things happen. Number one, you either are researching, this level of research happens, you're looking for something new. Solutions happen, you solve those problems, possibilities, and then you go back to the startup phase. It's like this cycle where you go, I have energy, there's something new for me. Or 2, you're going to continue to feel lost. This is what I would say 95% of people through COVID in the real estate industry felt lost. There was no compass. The offices were closed. Nobody was sharing with them what to do. And so a lot of people, when we were chatting with them or talking to them, it was that question, what is your compass? What are you going back to? But here's the bottom line. If somebody does not go into advanced growth through growth, it will plateau. And again, this plateau is a sign of early decline. They're not going back here. When you're declining or when you're plateauing, it typically means one of these 4 or all 4 aren't prevalent in your business. So the idea here is understand where you're at in the cycle. Are you in startup? Are you in growth? Or are you maneuvering through advanced growth? And what is your decision? Is your decision to become a 10 in any of the following and try and master those? And so I'm going to go back here. Sorry. So a decision for you to go into advanced growth means that people are attracted to you. You're confident. You're not pushy. You're fun. You can say things like, and I've got an EXP thing here, join EXP or don't. I'm happy, whatever you choose. I'm confident in my decision. But it may be for those of you who are listing properties, list with me or don't list with me, whatever you choose. I'm confident in my pricing strategy. I'm confident in what I delivered here at the listing consultation today. I want to be your agent. At the same time, I also, it also has to be a win-win for me. I'm going to let a couple more people in here. Sorry, they're waiting, so bear with me. Okay.
John, I think that's super important right now too. What you say is being confident right now in the market and how we're pricing homes, right? Like, I feel like I'm going to have those struggles. So I like that point.
Yeah, and ask for the permission up front, guys. Is it okay if we have a conversation that may be uncomfortable for you? I know that you're thinking your house is worth X, and based on what I'm seeing and our pricing strategy and what's selling, here's what I'm coming up with. Tell me tell me how we can make a win together here. So ask for that permission up front to have an uncomfortable portion of the conversation. So as you maneuver through this third wall and you say, wow, I'm really going for it. I'm the 1%er who's gonna rock this industry. And guys, when you look at the real estate industry, It used to be 90-10. 90% of the business was done by 10% of the agents. About 5 years ago, that went to 95-5. And there's some surveys out right now, excuse me, that it's about 97-3. 3% of the business, or 97% of the business is done by 3% of the agents. Here's some strategies for you if you're maneuvering through advanced growth. Number one, identity. Look at your past and understand your life. And last week I used the analogy, you have this book and you read through the chapters and you read the words of the book, but who tells you the theme? Nobody. You understand the theme yourself. So what I'll ask you is, what is the theme of your life? Who are you? What is it that you do? What is it that you're seeking? Are you wanting to help people? Are you wanting to educate people? Are you good with, do you change when you have a breakdown? What is it that is the theme of your life? Identify it and maximize it. Tell your story in regards to that. If you identify these things, if you identify who you are and what the themes are, where you're going in life becomes a hell of a lot easier. Number two, relationships. We talk about proximity being power. Who is your environment? Who are the key people around you? And here's the question: who is right now, and think about it rhetorically, who is going to help you shape the next version of you? We know if we're not growing, we're stagnant. If we're stagnant, we're really decaying. So, I want you to think about 2023 and 2024 as your ability to go out and gain market share through relationships, business related folks, or people in the industry, or coaches. But number two is relationships. Number three is taking responsibility for it. Who is going to be your leverage? Who's going to hold you accountable? What are the standards and expectations for your current business? If there's not responsibility and definition in each one of those leverage, accountability, coaching standards and expectations, it's really tough to get through that, break through that 1% of advanced growth. Number four, what are you skilling up on right now? What's the theme for 2023 for you that you want to develop? Is it communication? Is it customer service? Is it systems? What is it that you're currently going to skill up on? And number five is purpose. Your purpose is why. And again, last week I said everybody talks about the big why. I'm not really a believer in that necessarily, because it seems too nebulous to me. But if you got tactical and you said, man, my purpose is to skill up in communication, to be the best to be the best tech real estate agent, to be the best objection handler, to be the best leader, to be the best manager, to be the best listing agent. I don't know what it is for you, but find that purpose and attach those skills to your life and to your business. So these are the 5 strategies of advanced growth. Now, how do you use this? So first, you identify where you're at in each one of those phases in building your business. And for those of you who are at EXP, I want you to think about it in regards to your organizational building, not just your sales building, but where are you at with that? Have you got to the startup phase and you were excited and you hit that brick wall and you go, man, it's just too tough for me? Well, the bottom line is you got to skill up in life. You got to try a little bit. You got to try something new. You got to introduce new skills and new ideas. But you got to decide today, are you going to be the 5% that decide to continue to break through these brick walls and move towards advanced growth? And you got to own it. And so when you look at these decisions, A is advanced growth, and B is, some of you are out there going, well, do I really need to go to this event? Do I have to be on this call? I'll catch the Zoom while multitasking. I'm not focused on it. We see this a lot in top producers because they get in that plateau phase where they go, I know everything, don't need to know it. I've been there. I've been there personally. So make the decision today. Am I going to continue moving forward, or am I going to continue in plateau mode? So also one more thing, and this is really important. Leave today knowing your emotions are a gift. If you're feeling that guilt, if you're feeling that anxiety, like you need to do more, your body and your mind are telling you that. So stop masking it and embrace those, because those highlight your journey in your business growth. And the key point of this in 15 minutes to recover this information was really to, I'm going to let some more people, the key point here was really to highlight your, I'm sorry guys, was really to highlight your journey and to understand within the journey, it doesn't have to be just structured business cycle, business growth. What you'll find is with what the topic that we've just talked about, it's all mindset. It's all making that decision and understanding where you're at in, in regards to these brick walls. Any feedback on that before we go forward? Make sense? Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was great, Sean. Really good.
Okay. So let's keep going. So I want you to, the same skill set for those of you who are new agents on here, or experienced agents for that matter, or people who are relaunching their business. I want you to think about this. Having the same resources and tools it takes to bring, to grow an organization are the same skills it takes to list and to represent buyers and sellers in the marketplace. And so talking about that, we have this new term in real estate, and it's called agent attraction. And what this means really is that your business is large enough and you're having enough fun, and you're on social media and you're out in the community and people are noticing you. And whether you're selling real estate or guys at EXP or trying to attract agents, this is the 1%ers, okay? 1% of people can attract listings. 1% of people can attract other agents to come on board with their organization. You think about like a Brent Gove. Brent's just so big and brings you a hug and says, okay, let's go together. That's not many of you, 99% of you on the call, that's not you. And so what we look at next is we go, well, what does it take to recruit somebody? And inevitably in our industry, recruiting has this connotation or this word, it has become negative. And what I want to share with you today is a recruiter is someone who cares enough about another human being to sit down, have a conversation, ask what's working, what's not working, find out about their dreams, and help them align as a resource with either yourself or your team to help them grow. And I'm going to keep moving on here. So when somebody says, I don't like recruiting, here's what they're doing. They're making two statements. Just going back really quickly, I want to talk about this. Where do you fit in on here? Many of you don't fall in on either one of them. You don't have a large enough business yet to attract people, and you don't have the skill set like we were chatting about to bring people over or to grow this organization, right? So, and that's where the third-party validation comes in, and that's where we're diving into. But when somebody says, I don't like recruiting, they're making two statements. They're either saying, I don't care enough about getting to know somebody else to help them and be a resource to them, or simply most of us say, I don't have the skills. And really what that is it's an amazing word that means you've played a small role in somebody's life trajectory. For me, this is a Brent Gove. This is Brent Gove who said, okay, after 16 months of calling me, who said, hey man, I made 180,000 in rev share last month. Come over and let's have a conversation. And I said, okay, because of your success, because of where you're at in your journey in real estate and where you've been and what you've done, I respect you enough that I'm going to come over and listen to what you have to say. But it wouldn't have happened if Brent didn't go out there and succeed and have a level of success that he did, specifically here at EXP. So a lot of people want to talk about this, and this may be you for those of you who are just starting your business. And again, I'm trying to talk to both of you, both agents who are in this organization, which is 80% of you who want to grow, or agents or new agents. You're saying, oh, the market is inundated with top producing agents, and I don't have any momentum, and there's no listings out there for me. Or when I joined, there were 4,200 agents, which is crazy to think we're just going to hit 90 and we're going to finish the year at over 100,000 agents. But what I want to this is talking about this thing. Maybe many of you may have not heard of it, but it's called the Rogers Adoption Curve, and it's the innovation curve. When you're talking out there and you're looking at other businesses and outside of real estate or talking to other people, what you need to understand is here's how people are wired. Only 2.5% of people are innovators who go, man, we're going to build Tesla, or we're going to build SpaceX, or we're going to build EXP or KW. And only 13.5% are people who are early adopters. Most of you are early adopters in your own right. And then you go to early majority and late majority and laggards. Well, here at here at EXP, what we would say is that we're we're all in this early adopter phase. We're going to get to 1 million agents, and we have 100,000 of them right now. So these are the Rogers adoption curve are the idea of maneuvering people through ideas and technology and transformative models. And again, just to go back, we're really at this early phase. Timing. So when we have compressed time and energy and effort, that equals massive actions. So if I said, hey, in the next week, go and meet with 200 business people, that would be your energy over a compressed period of time with your maximum effort of time and energy. That would equal massive action. If we take massive action, which is your activities, and God damn it, you got to get out there. Many of you don't have enough activities happening on a routine basis to pull you through this shift. We talk in our office right now about quadrupling your activities. Quadruple, whatever you're doing, whatever you did last week, how do you 4X it next week? But here's the idea: massive action within a small window of time at a critical moment equals more than what it could take a lifetime to create. I go back here and I think specifically of Brent Gove. Within a 5-year period, he's gone from selling real estate at a very high level and being one of the top agents in the country to having, now close to 20,000 people in his organization and making millions of dollars a month. He did this. So think about this, not only in your agent attraction game, but also in your real estate business. Okay, I'm going to skip that slide. The power of replication, this is specific to the EXP agents who are on board here, but we talked about at the Tahoe Summit the following. You know what an average franchise makes, whether it's a Subway, whether it's a Taco Bell, whether it's you name it, an average franchise makes $80,000 a year. You know that? That's why it takes, the average franchise owner has 3 or 4 or 5 franchises. What we're being given here, at least at EXP, and some of you are at other brokerages, which is cool, just to understand the opportunity here to own to build a franchise, is by going out and selecting 5 people to align with you, who go out and get 5 people. That's the equivalent of EXP giving you your own franchise of a guaranteed number of $80,000 a year. So that's the opportunity. What we're giving you is the ability to have a franchise. So here's where we go. How organizations are built. This is for those of you who are building teams, sales teams, right? Think about this. If you go, hey, I'm at Amy, I'm at KW, and I want to build my team. Well, think about this. You're attracting people. You have 4 methods of this. You're either attracting people because of who you are. And again, this is the smallest percent of the ability to attract people. It's not scalable. You can't predict it. It's not systematic. You can't teach it. People are attracted to you because of you. Number 2 is recruiting, where you have these skills and you understand that there's time and energy and effort that need to be attributed to this. And you work on this ability to bring people. There's third-party validation, which is what we're going to talk about today. And this is utilizing your business partners to scale your organization, to go to listing appointments, to meet with buyers. This is replicatable within your team. You know what to say. Your team member knows what to say. Anybody can do it. And it's a set of skills and systems that can replace attraction and recruiting. Many of you just send and chase. Here's an email. Here's a video. And that's what I call weak ass shit. Okay. And so we don't want weak ass shit. Don't send, if it's just like a listing presentation, right? Are you sending something and then chasing them? Or are you saying, hey, let's get together. Let's get face to face. That's the way you would do it. This is the way you should do business. So what is, I think here's why. Third-party validation brings your team members in, shows that you've done your due diligence, gives a different perspective. Many of you have siblings, right? Is your siblings' journey through growing up the same as yours? Or if you ask you both, did you have different perspective on how you grew up? Most of the time, everybody has a different perspective. And so it's important that that's shared, the support, the commitment, and then ultimately training and skills. So here's how organizations are built. The team. I've got talking about the team. I've got a team of people that I work with, and we model this behavior. The due diligence. right now, 5 to 7 exposure before somebody makes a decision. This, and when you're talking about consumer, Grant Cardone just came out with some new statistics saying in today's environment with social media and, phone, text messages and everything, it takes about 15 to 20 hits for you to be, meaning touches, for a buyer or seller to be wanting to do business with you. Perspective, everybody has their own experience and multiple voices. Support, here's how we're demonstrating our customer service support and our team skill and support. Commitment, and this is if you're running a sales team, this is the commitment of the business partner to help you grow and secure that listing, secure that buyer, or to share EXP or your model with them, and ultimately training and skills. And here's what we know: when you're doing a third-party validation and you're there, whether it's a listing appointment, a recruiting appointment, or working with buyers, if you do it correctly, you're training and you're building your skill set through your partner agent. Here's what we know: in our real estate world, training doesn't work, but work trains. How true is that? It's not until you get to the listing appointment or you get to this, agent attraction or recruiting appointment that the juice really kicks in. So for many of you who are stuck on the sidelines, who go, I don't know that, I don't know how to do this, or write a contract or this, get over yourself and get into business, because that will be the portion that trains you. And when you're there, during this third-party validation, if I'm sitting with Mansoor is going to listen. He's going to mirror and match the posture, the confidence, the skills, and the questions. And through me, or whoever that agent may be, it's going to help him skill up, level up, and provide an ease of confidence. Here's what we know: enthusiasm is great, but for most, it's not enough. However, when we couple the characteristic of who we are and how fun we're having, and how much fun we're having, and this enthusiasm with skills, it yields this result. So this is about skilling up and providing an experience. Here's the anatomy of a third-party validation. We're going to dive deep into this over the next 15 minutes. But number one is clear the time. Bill, do we have an hour to spend together? Set the context. Mansoor, here's why we're meeting today. We edify the prospect. We edify the senior partner. We pass to the senior partner. We build rapport and gather the agenda. We discuss those items. We move on to the next steps of what and when, and then the senior partner edifies the junior partner. If you thought about doing this at every business-to-business meeting that you have, every agent attraction meeting you have, or every listing or buyer's appointment, this can be manipulated to fit even a single person going to one of these appointments. But the idea here is, number one, we clear the time. We check in and upfront on the time to clear it. And I would suggest you do one more thing when you're sitting down with a prospect, again, buyer, seller, or agent, is that you ask them to turn their phone off. And you say, hey, Ben, I've cleared this 45 minutes for you. I'm really looking forward to connecting. And can we have an agreement that I'm going to shut my phone off? Will you shut your phone off? That way you guys are engaged together. Here's the problem. When we look at the DISC profile, 97% of humans will have trouble confronting the time. It's not a natural conversation. And so this is part of those times when we skill up, right? When we say, okay, we have to do this. Example, hi, Alan, it's Sean. We had an appointment at noon. I wanted to make sure that now is still a good time and that we're clear for the next 30 minutes. And you may add on to there, hey, I'm going to turn my phone off. This is really important to me. I ask that you do the same. Is it too much to ask for you to do the same? Okay, that's clearing the time. Here's why. People are driven by two main attitude characteristics. Number one is sincerity, where they feel caring and feeling and cozy, and you love them. Hey, Amy. Hey, Angela. Let me give you a hug. Or competence, and these are the drivers. And these people care about you. Do what you say, when you said it, and when you're going to do it. And if you do this right, you clear the time properly, you're speaking to both of those personality types. You're being sincere and clearing the time, and you're also saying, hey, I've got a half an hour. I'm going to get you out of here in a half an hour. Let's get down to business. So it gives them respect. It shows your competence and addresses their basic feelings. And so many of you may say, this is significant, but it's part of this process that we talk about. So don't skip the process. Number two, set the context. This sets the tone. This says, hey, Alana, why are we here today? Okay. And, hey, Alana, I'm very grateful to spend an hour together. The purpose of us coming together was for me to introduce my senior partner. Think about this as a listing appointment, right? Next, this is going to give a great experience and satisfy this next level of due diligence for them as they're selecting a realtor, or they're choosing a different brokerage, or they want to get questions answered. Stating why you're there sets the tone and the energy for the meeting. It helps both those based in confidence and respect, and those based in caring and feelings to understand what the importance of the meeting is. Next, we're going to edify. This is, for many of you who are golfers, this tees us up. And the purpose of a tee is to make the ball go farther with less friction, right? So we understand that the most important person in the room at that listing appointment, at that buyer consultation, is the prospect. And the portion of this is to say what I like about you, what I respect about you, what impresses me about you. You're giving them words of affirmation. One of the things that I shared is one of my love languages is words of affirmation. And people don't get affirmed enough. Be that person that leaves them smiling, that leaves them you have built rapport with them, and that they remember you. But also, it's there to break the ice, invest in the relationship, and gain their ears, get into their head a little bit, take some of their mindset. That's edifying the prospect, right? And so then, whatever you resonate based on your relationship with that person, this gains their full attention, and now walls are broken down. Next, edifying the senior partner. Gonna let some people in again. Okay, edifying the senior partner. This relieves the arrogance. If I go in there and say, I've done this and this, that, and the other, what does that do for me? Makes me look arrogant, makes me look like I'm full of myself, doesn't it? So when you're meeting with a senior partner, and make sure you do the edifying to them. And the goal is to get them to a point, get your prospect to a point where they say, well, I'm spending 30 minutes with this person. This is great. What questions am I going to ask? I feel great about meeting this person. And so this is a 30-second edification, because anything past that seems, super less authentic. And again, the most important person is the prospect. At the same time, you want to share with them, what the experience and what the past qualifications of the senior partner look like. Next, you pass it to the senior partner. Chris says, okay, in his mind, this completes the validation of the conversation. Your job then is to pass it and zip it. And this is going to be hardest for the drivers in the room, and because they want to talk and they want to put their 2 cents in. But what you need to do is think about this like a tennis match. If Chris and I are batting the ball one-on-one, and all of a sudden somebody else comes in and now it's 2-on-1, it's a push energy instead of a pull energy. And we want to have that pull energy where they feel comfortable in sharing, and we're taking that energy instead of shoving it on them. So again, drivers, for those of you who are really impatient, be careful here to avoid the tug of war. Pass it to the senior partner. And if you talk during this time frame, you're mitigating the importance of the senior partner, and you're also at the same time ensuring that senior partner feels validated and valued. Okay, you're not talking over them. Next, we begin to build a rapport and gather the agenda. So think about this at a listing presentation. John, thanks so much for taking the time to connect with me today. Since we're meeting for the first time, tell me a little bit about you. Understand their story, find the theme, find their wins and losses, find their pain, recognize where they are on the personality profile, disc profile. And then, you sum that up. I use this all the time at a listing presentation or consultation. What would be the most valuable topic for us to discuss today? And the person asking the questions controls the conversation. Guys, we're not throwing up on them. We're not going, here's my marketing strategy, or here's the best thing about EXP. Let them ask the questions, because they'll tell you what the most important portion of that conversation is. Thinking about, right now, as we've done this, if we have a half an hour meeting, we're a third of the way through there, and we haven't even got to talk about what their questions might be or what their topics for discussion might look like. So what else do you want to know? What else do you want to talk about? What other information can I provide? And what else can I, and what else? And what's your one more thing? And your questions now that you're at this listing appointment or agent attraction meeting, your questions have created the agenda. And now you can say, Nancy, I've got, okay, we've got 20 minutes left. We're going to get through this agenda of questions. And you can manage that time through telling stories or providing examples or testimonials or challenging their thinking in some cases with new pricing strategy or sharing with them market data, or for those of you who are specifically growing your organization, sharing with them some of the things that may be debunked. Sorry, some of the things that may be debunked about the brokerage. Number 7, discuss agenda items. Hammer out answering the questions that they've delivered to you. Okay, and I'm not going to go through these because they're really specific and in depth. But next, what and when? Raise your hand if you have an issue with follow-up. Most of us in this industry, and I see a lot of hands out there, most of us do. Okay. So here's why it's important that you do what we call the magic move, which is to reschedule or have an agenda ready. Because it means 2 things if you're not following up. It's number 1, that you don't want to ask for the business. You're afraid. You don't want to be perceived as pressuring somebody. Or number 2, you don't want to ask because you feel they're going in a different direction. Remember the 2 personality types that we talked about, those who are considerate and those who are, who want the hug, and those who want the time and for you to do what you say you want to do. How does this resonate with them? You've just spent half an hour with them and you haven't followed up with them. How do you think that makes them feel? Not valued. That's not good for a sales cycle. And for the person who's very driven, if you don't follow up with them or have a plan with them, it makes them think like you're not competent. Okay. A driver wants competence. So you must close. Okay. In any given circumstance. Again, here we go. Skill is higher than their values. What you're saying, what you've communicated, maybe not that important to them, that you wouldn't follow up with them. And that, again, you may not care about them. That's the way that they would feel. So for those not clear, you need to give them a path. Was there anything if you're at a listing appointment, was there anything else you'd like to learn more about today? Is there anything else that we haven't covered that you want to understand or talk about? So here's the direction. You may want to hear from somebody else who has a different perspective. You may want to and they go, no, I'm good. Great. What's next? What else is next? Okay. They go, I don't really know. You go, well, here's 4 options for you that you may take. You may want to hear from somebody else who has a different perspective. You may want to experience the EXP world. You may want to have some detailed information and research sent to you or a follow-up, or you may want to sign the listing agreement, or you may want to sign the joint application right now. Which one of those do you want to do? So number 1, you ask them, what else do you need? What else do you want to learn about? Number 2, if they say no, you give them some kind of a direction. Here's where we can go from here. Are you comfortable with signing the listing? Or are you comfortable with signing the buyer broker agreement? Are you comfortable with me bringing a stager out? Are you comfortable with whatever that is? You got to give them direction. This shows a high level of professionalism and a system and a level of competence. Number 9, we're getting to the end of this. Again, regardless of what you decide about moving forward with EXP or about hiring me as your agent, you couldn't be in better hands with Ben. He's amazing, right? So that senior partner is now edifying the junior partner who brought them in. Teresa has proven herself in a short period of time to be a market professional with extreme talent of follow-up. Derek is amazing with a wealth of knowledge and possesses a vast knowledge of skills and leadership. And we want to be collaboratively, we want to be in business with you. Collaboratively, we want to sell your listing. Is this good? Is this a good system? Have you guys heard of this before? When I heard of this blew my mind in the ability to utilize it over, again, recruiting people, over buyers and sellers, or over utilizing this at a business to business related meeting. So the bottom line here is, if we have, you guys aren't going to be, most of you aren't at a level where you're going to attract business. Most of you aren't at a level where if you're trying to grow your organization, you're going to be at recruiting. Many of you do the send and chase, but it doesn't work. What this does in many different categories, it gives you a system to share with your team to help duplicate and scale growth. And here's a quick getting in the game. I'm going to send this out to everybody. This wasn't meant to be a agent attraction or a recruiting effort, but to skill up in regards to this third-party validation and understanding the psychology of building a business. But we're doing some really cool things. For those of you who aren't at EXP, we're doing some really goddamn cool things over here. So, getting in the game. So, I'd like you to introduce you. Here's how you would say it. You would use a script, and if you're a new agent and you have a senior partner, you would say, I'd like to introduce you to an amazing person. What 3 times work for you next week to come over and have that buyer consultation or listing consultation or agent attraction meeting? And the flow is as of such. And I know we're running a little over, but we're almost done here. So, hey, thank you so much for taking the time today. Before we jump into the conversation, is this still a great time for you? We have 30 minutes. The reason for us coming together today, the purpose is for me to introduce my senior partner, answer any questions, and gain perspective. What I want you to know about Sean is he's someone who I respect immensely, has been a team leader, ranked by Wall Street Journal, coach, speaker, author, and his willingness to fail and keep getting back up is what I respect about him. What I respect about you is you're an absolute visionary. You're humble and you're an industry expert and a fighter. With that being said, I'm excited to turn the conversation over to Bob. And Bob says, Bob, I'm very excited to make the new relationship, collaborate with you as an industry expert. I'd like to know a little bit more about you and your business. And, we have 20 minutes together. What information, questions, perspective can I answer or address during our time together? You discuss those specific times. Is there anything more that you want to know or discuss further? What does the next steps look like for you? Be specific with your time, place, date, and topic. And again, summing it up with 9, regardless of what you decide about moving forward with us, with EXP, we couldn't be in better hands. You couldn't be in better hands with Ben. And here's what we know about mastery. Mastery takes 10,000 hours. So if you feel like you're hitting that wall, new agents or agents who have been here who are trying to grow the organizations, you got to focus on the mastery of getting in front of people. Here's the reality. 1 in 5 in regards to this, we'll try and reschedule. And they're going to say something like, the market is so crazy. Or if it's a listing appointment, I've got family issues. I'm so busy today. I'm going to need to reschedule. Today still isn't good. You need to set this up better. This is your specific time. I'm saving this time and rearranging my meetings with buyers or sellers or business partners. Is there any reason to think it's not as important to you in your calendar as it is on mine? Please let me know 24 hours in advance if this time isn't going to work. And for people who are in my organization, here's what we say. Cancellation doesn't mean no appointment. Go get somebody else. That's the time we've allotted for you. Step it up, level it up, and bring your game. Here's the bottom line. I can't help you. The organization can't help you grow unless you put me in front of more people. For sales teams, you get for my sales team who are listening, put me in front of more people. We need more appointments, always. Me training or talking to you isn't going to help you grow. You got to get in work mode. You got to get from off the sidelines, talking about running plays, to in the field, getting hammered again, and keeping getting back up and put in the work. And here's what we know, all of you on this call. I'm willing to invest my time, my energy in you. In exchange, it's time for you to level up. In conclusion, having this great sales team or running your organization at EXP isn't about the money. It's about the relief of anxiety and peace of mind. When you talk to Brent, when you talk to those people who are making oodles amount of money, and I'm not making oodles, but it has certainly quelled a lot of the anxiety that I've had in this industry. So peace of mind. And why? Because what happens when your anxiety is low and when you're in work mode and things are going really well, the best of you comes out, and that's who we want to see. Let's bring the best of you on top. Let's get you in front of more people and growing the organization. And we can do that by alleviating anxiety. Be the person that attracts somebody bigger through understanding the power of third-party validation, like we talked about here today. And if you got the invite to this event, it means that I see maybe something in you that you don't see in yourself. So we are all talented, and keeping going. This is kind of the conclusion side. Be willing to surround yourself with people who see you, what you're capable of, and hold you accountable to be that new person. Those people who don't accept the bullshit and who say you're bigger than that, and who love you to a point where it's uncomfortable to the person who is receiving it because it works against the habits that they're themselves working against. Take seriously what this company is offering you, what this team and what this organization is offering you. We've got some amazing people who are on this call and who are part of the larger organization. And ultimately, if you're not having success, none of this works until if you're continuing to look back at the failures versus looking forward to the opportunity, you own your perspective, and it's the very bullshit that may be holding you back. Here's the thing. I've been here for 4 years. If you look at my organization, I got 251 people. 4 years, that's 10 people a year. You go, I can't do it. Can you go get 10 people? Can you introduce me to, can you be influential over, can you bring over 10 people a year? If so, here's what it looks like. This is my actual revenue share, and this is only the second time that I've showed this. But if you add these up May to May, it's 150 grand, okay? 150 grand passive income at a 4% return, that's like saving $3.5 million in the bank. So for those of you who are at a point where you've been in this industry for a long period of time and you go, man, there's no way I'm gonna retire. I don't have an asset that gets me there. Well, here's the deal. In 4 years, I've been able to accumulate an asset that's worth $3.5 million, that's paying a 4% return every month. That's pretty solid. You have the same opportunity. You have the same opportunity to build and grow that franchise, okay? All right, guys, I know I've gone 5 minutes over, but I would love to hear some ahas out there.
Thank you, Sean, for inviting me. It was great to get the knowledge.
Thank you, sir.
And hope to join the team soon.
Lovely. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And thank you for Mansoor Zair to invite me also.
Mansoor's the man. He's such a good looking dude, isn't he?
I just want to say I've been on a few of these calls with you, Sean. I know we've talked to agents across the United States. I think the last one was with an agent from Colorado. I want to give a shout out to Rosalind. She's tuning in from Tennessee today. So it's totally doable. We have so much reach with this company and a vast network, and Sean's such a great leader. Definitely leverage him. If you're not, have him hop on those calls with you and walk through. I think we've done this a few times. I'd like to say it gets smoother every time, right, Sean?
That's right. 10,000 hours to mastery, buddy. Well, everybody else, thanks for tuning in. I hope it was worthwhile to skill up a little bit and to learn a different system for whether you're doing agent attraction or repping buyers or sellers. But great to see all of you, and let's keep moving forward, guys. Okay.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you, Sean.
Thanks, Sean. Thank you, Sean.